What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Theco Guide podcast. I'm Counselor Liz, and on today's episode, I'll be going over the essentials of the Class Syllabus. The Class Syllabus is one of the most important documents that you'll be receiving for each one of your classes. So today, I'm going to break down what's included in the Class Syllabus, how to understand it, and most importantly, how you can use the Class Syllabus to help you succeed in the course. A lot of students don't realize that the syllabus is actually one of the most important resources and a really helpful tool for students. So as I'm breaking down the different parts of the syllabus, I'll include some tips on how you can use it in the class. Before I get started, you might want to pause the podcast, and if you have a syllabus from a class that you've taken or are taking, maybe go ahead and grab that. And that way, as I go through the different components, you can use that sample syllabus as a reference and help you kind of understand what the components are as I'm explaining it with an actual example. So the class syllabus is sometimes referred to as like the class contract. It's essentially your guide to the class and includes everything that you need to know about it, what the class is about, the expectations, the policies. All of that should be included in the class syllabus. The class syllabus is typically given right at the start of the class. So if you're in an in-person class, it's usually passed out through paper and the first day of class. Sometimes it's available online, and definitely if you're taking an online class, the syllabus will be available in an online format. Sometimes some instructors will email out the class syllabus before the semester starts because they want students to get acquainted with the course information before the class actually starts. So if you see an email from your instructor with the class syllabus before the semester begins, make sure to take the time to read it. There can be some really helpful information on that syllabus that can help you get prepared before the semester starts. So some of the most basic information that's usually listed on the class syllabus, somewhere at the top typically, is going to be the class name, of course, the full name, your instructor's name, and their contact information. One important thing to look at when you're looking at your contact information for your instructor is sometimes they have specific notes about their preferred method of contact, whether that's email or phone or through Canvas or some other communication platform. It's possible that your instructors have specific preferences on how they want you to contact them and maybe even when they want you to contact them. They might note on there, certain hours or days of the week that they check their emails. So that's really helpful for you to know so that if you have questions or concerns, you're contacting them in the best way possible so that your questions can get answered. Also, usually in that section is information about your instructor's office hours. So office hours are a great opportunity to get some one-on-one time with your instructors and get your questions and concerns addressed. On the syllabus, they usually list if they have specific days and times for their office hours, when those are, their office location, if those office hours are being held in person, or they might have information about any Zoom office hours that are being held. So that's important to look at too. Sometimes when it comes to office hours, you might see that it says by appointment or by arrangement if they don't have set hours. A good question to ask your instructor if you see that is, how do we make an appointment? Do they prefer that we email them? What's the process for making that appointment in case you do need to use those office hours? Another important component of the class syllabus is going to be information on required materials. So required materials might include textbooks or other online resources that might be needed for the class. All of that should be noted on the syllabus, whatever you absolutely need to have. That's important to look at because you want to make sure to give yourself enough time to get those materials, hopefully within that first week of class, because some classes get started moving at a pretty fast pace. So if you don't have that textbook that you need, you might find yourself getting behind on the class. So look at the required materials early on, and if you need to order the book or go to your college's bookstore, you'll have the information that you need in regards to which materials you should be getting. Then another important part of the syllabus is where they list student learning outcomes and course objectives. Now, I know when we say those words, it sounds like a lot of academic jargon, but essentially, when we're talking about student learning outcomes and course objectives, we're basically saying this is what you should learn from this class. This is what a student should get out of this class at the end of it. So they usually have those listed on there. When you're going through different assignments in the semester, I know sometimes students are like, why am I doing this assignment? Like, how is this related to what we're learning? Or, what's the point of it? I encourage you, when you have those thoughts coming up, or maybe you have some doubts about how to approach a certain assignment, look at your syllabus and look at the student learning outcomes and course objectives. And a lot of the times, you'll see a connection between what the overall goals of the course are to the goals of that assignment. And that might help you in terms of how to approach the assignment and what information or skills you should be getting out of the course. That's really important on there. It's essentially telling you like what you can expect to walk away from the course with. There might also be information on the syllabus about which general education requirements that class satisfies. So if you know that you're taking that class for a specific general education requirement, oftentimes that requirement will be listed somewhere on the syllabus. So that's always a good idea to confirm that you're taking the right class for the right requirement that you're trying to fulfill. Another important component of the class syllabus is usually a section on course policies. Now, every instructor varies on how much detail about course policies they put on the syllabus, but some of the common topics that you might see under course policies might include policies on late work, whether or not they accept late work. They might also have policies on absences. Sometimes instructors might have a maximum number of absences that a student can have before they're dropped from the class. So that is a key thing to know, because if things come up during the semester and you miss class, you want to make sure that you haven't missed so many classes that you're going to get dropped. And if you get to that point, hopefully you're having conversations with your instructor so that if you have some extenuating circumstances that led to those absences, they can take that into consideration before dropping you. They might also have policies regarding different course expectations in terms of punctuality or formats for certain assignments. That's all really important to read. It'll be different for each class depending on the nature of the class and the instructor, but course policies is an important piece to look at. Then another part of the class syllabus that's usually included is a grading breakdown. So again, it kind of varies on instructors in terms of the detail that they put in their grading breakdown. Some instructors will put all of the assignments that are given in the course or different assignment groups and how many points they're worth. And then they should have on there, how many points you need or what kind of a percentage you need to get an A in the class, to get a B, to get a C, to get a D, or to get an F. So that is really helpful too, because as the semester goes on, if you're trying to monitor your grades and you have a very specific grade in mind that you'd like to achieve, looking at that grading breakdown is going to be really helpful. I know in counseling, sometimes I have students come in, halfway through the semester as we get closer to the end of the semester, and maybe they're not sure if they're going to pass or if they're not sure that they're going to get that A that they really want to get. And one of the questions that I'll ask them is, have you talked to your instructor and have you looked at the class syllabus? Because looking at the class syllabus, if there's enough detail on there about the amount of points that are given for different classes or different assignments, that can really help inform a student about what they need to do, how many points they need to get whichever grade they're aiming for. So that is really helpful, looking at that grading breakdown, to know where you stand throughout the class. Another component of the class syllabus, which might be included on there, is a course schedule. Now, I know I've seen different variations in terms of the detail that instructors include. Some will give a really detailed course schedule, like week by week, and everything that's to do that week, the reading, all the assignments, everything's pretty much laid out on the course syllabus. Others might not give as much detail. They might just give, in general, which topics are going to be covered that week. It really varies from instructor to instructor, but still take a look at that course schedule because it can give you a good idea of when some major assignments are due. When there's midterms or projects or papers that you have to do, it's helpful for you to know all of that at the beginning of the semester. If you are a planner and maybe you have, an app or an actual agenda that you use to help you keep track of your assignments, look at that course schedule and start marking down like when the major exams are or the major assignments so that you have kind of this overall view for all of your classes of when the big assignments are due. That can really help you in spreading things out so that if you do have a week where there's going to be a lot of big assignments due for all of your classes, hopefully you can get started working on all of those assignments well before the week that everything's due. You'll thank yourself later if you do that. Lastly, some of the other things that might be included on the syllabus are information on assignments. Some instructors will put information on specific formatting instructions. They might have some assignment descriptions in there, so it gives you an idea of the type of work that you'll be doing over the course of the semester. That's always helpful too, so just so you know what to expect and you're not caught off guard by any assignments or the expectations for them. And then there should always be information about the final exam on the class schedule. So during finals week, the schedule for classes is typically different than your normal class schedule because they allow longer class periods during finals week. So on your class syllabus, the day and time of your final for that class will be listed on there. So that's really important to note too, because like I mentioned, it's going to be different than your usual class meeting time. So you should have that information at the beginning of the semester. Make sure to put it in your calendar. If you have work or if you have other responsibilities, try to work that out early on so that you make sure that you're available for that final exam period. So that's basically the important parts of the class syllabus. As I mentioned, this is your guide to the class. It helps you know what you're getting into. During the first week of the classes, when you're getting all of the syllabi for all of your different classes, really take the time to read it. I know it's hard to make that time, and sometimes it doesn't seem like the most exciting stuff to read about, but being well informed on the class, knowing what the expectations are, making sure that it's a class that you're interested in and it's the right class that you need to take, knowing who your instructor is and what the course of the semester is going to look like for that class is going to be really important in getting started on the right foot in that class. So set some time aside during that first week of classes to really read the syllabus for each and every one of your classes. And if you do have questions on it, send them to your instructor. You'll have their contact information on that syllabus. So hopefully this episode helped you learn a little bit more about what to expect from the class syllabus. Keep studying hard and we'll see you at the finish line.